Public Q&A presents AskReddit question. What teen movie is the epitome of the older I get, the more I agree with the adult? Sadly, The Wonder Years. I always couldn't believe the dad was real, with his pissed-off attitude from work. Now I understand. I am maybe a year or two older than Fred Savage or Kevin Arnold, and looked a ton like him at that age, so he was like a weird alter ego when the show was originally airing. Now, married with 2 kids, my first reaction to anything is the dad's go-to line. How much is it going to cost me? Metamorphosis complete. I watched 16 Candles recently, and I now do not approve of Samantha going anywhere near Jake Ryan. The movie Juno. Jennifer Garner's character is at first portrayed as a square, then you realize she's a mature adult, and her husband is a man-baby. I always praise Jennifer Garner's performance in that role, and everyone looks at me like I am crazy. She could have been really one-dimensional, but her performance gives the character so much depth. This scene in particular breaks my heart. Web address. Her performance is so beautiful in that movie. You can practically see her personal shame, her disappointment with a lot of her husband's ways, and her force of will in trying to keep these feelings under wraps. I always thought she was bitchy or square, only due to the stress of what her life is and the need to present stability to the world. I am not sure how much of that was me reaching, but that's what I got out of her performance. Not a teen movie, but Father of the Bride. Watching it as a kid, Steve Martin seemed like an old grump. Rewatching it as an adult, holy shit, he is the only sane person in that movie. Winnie the Pooh. Rabbit was never against playtime. But can you just not do it in his house or garden, you little hellions? And Pooh is some frat boy who eats all of Rabbit's freaking honey. Rabbit hardly complains, oh my gosh. And then Pooh gets his fat ass stuck in the door, and the whole village or whatever has to help him. Is Pooh the fat honey equivalent of the town drunk? Just wandering into places, eating people's shit without thinking to ask, and then getting stuck in improbable ways. The Lion King. Oh, I thought Zazu was just an old fun killer. What do you mean, Simba can't be king? Why would you prevent the kids from going where they want? As an adult and father, I am 100% Team Zazu. Edit. Wow, thanks for the awards and answers. Some folks pointed out Lion King ain't a teen movie, and you're right. I guess I got carried by the replies, and wanted to share the revelation I had about Zazu when revisiting the movie 25 years later with my daughter. Sorry for having drifted away from main topic. Thanks for your answers, always nice, so share with people from across the world. Even as a kid I knew Zazu was the man. They only survived the hyena attack because he tattled to Mufasa. The Mom in Ice Princess. So you have a daughter who has a talent for and seems to like physics, and has a shot of getting into Harvard. This girl throws it away for ice skating, where she has only been competing for less than a year, where if she gets injured she's done, and when she reaches 30 she's pretty much done. There is no way she is at an Olympic level. At that point she would need years of training. Hell yes, I would advise against it too. Not to mention, she tries to get into it about 10 years later than she should have in order to train. Based on the reality of the competition she's up against, this was why AI more likely to fail than succeed. American Pie. As a new father, I hope to be like Jim's dad when my little one is a teenager. Caring, loving, and a complete embarrassment to them. Dude, Jim had the most chill dad ever. He literally walked in on his son fucking an apple pie on the kitchen table. What was his reaction? We'll just tell your mother we ate it all. He not only was chill about it but covered for him. He's a fucking bro. His patience and ability to remain chill seemed to get tested more and more through the sequels. Walks in on his son having sex in his dorm room, just as her parents also walk in. Remains chill. Has to go to the hospital after his son gets his hands glued to his groin and a porno tape. Remains chill. Has to console his son after shaving his pubes all over his expensive wedding cake. Remains chill. Goob, meet the Robinsons. Kid 1. Hey Goob. What's up? Cool binder. Kid 2. Hey Goob. Want to come over to my house today? Goob. They all hated me. It's my favorite line in the whole movie. And it beautifully illustrates how anger or depression can warp a child's perception of the world around them. Goob legitimately had people in his life who wanted to give him love and friendship, but his circumstances in life combined with sudden anger or hurt had blinded him to that, and it became impossible to overcome, and he grew up to be this twisted, spiteful person. He had decided that the world hated him, so he became the image he had in his head of how others perceived him, which led to him scaring off the people who wanted to adopt him, and their reaction feeding back into himself as confirmation that everyone was out to get him. Vicious cycle. It really laid out the struggles that kids in the system face, not just with their surroundings but with themselves. My kids got into Meet the Robinsons over the past year, never saw it before. That line slays me every time. Kid just wanted to sleep. We are all bowler hat guy. Everyone will tell you to let it go and move on, but don't. Instead, let it fester and boil inside of you. Take these feelings and lock them away. Let them fuel your actions. Let hate be your ally, and you will be capable of wonderful, horrid things. Heed my words, Goob. Don't let it go. Edit. My first award, thank you kindly. Mr. Wilson in Dennis the Menace. Seriously, fuck that little miscreant and his parents that turn a blind eye to his shenanigans. Edit. Thank you for the Reddit gold, kind stranger. Honestly, I never really felt like Dennis was a good kid at all. He was a little shit that stirred up trouble for Mr. Wilson and constantly tormented him. Like the menace is literally part of his name or title. Though I did find it funny, but that's kind of irrelevant to anyone being a good person or who I align with. Not a movie, but Hank from King of the Hill. I find myself saying that's asinine more and more with each passing year. Why would anybody do drugs when they could just mow their lawn? King of the Hill, while being super 90s, is honestly timeless. I rewatch the show every few years and most of the lessons taught in the show stand the test of time today. Hank is similar to Red Foreman from that 70s show where he represents a dad just trying to understand his son, who is from a different generation or upbringing than his own. Hank's a lot better and more tolerant than Red Imo, but that kind of generational differences and adapting to them will always be around. I think my big take on Hank as an adult is that he's also still learning to raise a son after being raised by someone like Cotton. Like, he never got a hug from his dad, and then has a baby brother named Good Hank, all while trying to learn how to raise his son to be a respectable young man with sincerity, while not showing his emotions like them women's. I mean, Hank being emotionally stunted because of Cotton, and then seeing how much he loves Bobby, and how he does his best to even learn from Bobby just warms my heart for Hank. Also, happy cows make happy meat. The one where he and Bobby are in a rifle shooting contest, but Hank is a terrible shot, and loses the contest, and is kicking himself and feeling like a failure of a father, and a total disappointment to his son. But then Bobby comes running up screaming with joy that they won second place, and he's super happy and proud of doing something so fun and amazing with his dad, who he loves more than anything else in the world. Somebody needs to stop cutting onions in here, damn it. Oh god, I haven't seen that in like 10 years, and I just choked up at work. I got to call my dad. Working from home. That's asinine. Work and home were meant to be enjoyed separately. I love that he genuinely enjoys his completely mundane job. Stable work, not too much stress, affords him a home, wife, and kids. Surprisingly rare these days. Hank Hill basically had the American dream going on. Nice enough house in a nice enough neighborhood, his wife occasionally works but it doesn't seem to be a huge stressor, they can afford to take in lieu, and overall everything's pretty hunky-dory. In Dirty Dancing, Jerry Orbach just wanted a family summer vacation, and instead learned entirely too much about his daughter's sex lives. In the summer vacation system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups. The teenagers, who want to party and get laid. And the parents, who are tired of shit, and just need a break. These are their stories. Done. Jerry Orbach also teaches an important life lesson to everyone. Near the end he says, "When I am wrong, I say I am wrong, which if more people could do we'd be in a better place." He delivers that line so well, too. The moment really hits hard. It got me even when I was a little girl with no idea about the whole abortion thing. I always thought Penny was sick and the guy was just a terrible, cheap doctor. Gene Wilder in original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Stop, don't come back. I don't necessarily identify with him, but from the out I knew he was the good guy. Essentially he was a wrathful angel, smiting the wicked and rewarding the good. And Grandpa Joe for some reason. Gene Wilder on the very first moment you meet Wonka. After getting the script from the Mel Stewart, the director, I said, "It's very good, but something's missing. If I play that part, I want to come out with a cane, and there's something wrong with my leg and come down the stairs slowly, and then have the cane stick into one of the bricks that are down there and then get up, start to fall over, then roll around, and then they all laugh and applaud." He asked, "What do you want to do that for?" I said, from that point on, no one would know if I was lying or telling the truth. Way late to the party, but I am going to say Daria. I used to be a disaffected teen too. All my problems were so huge. And Daria's parents just didn't understand. I watch it now, and Jake Morgendorffer is who I identify best with. He's supposed to seem silly and crazy and out of touch, but now I just see a guy who worries so much about providing for his family, dealing with insecurity about his masculinity, and trying to relate to his daughters any way he can in spite of being completely baffled by them, because his hypermasculine upbringing left him ill-equipped to relate to girls. Poor Jake. He just wants to be a better dad than his dad. And in spite of his goofiness, I think he does an okay job. Edit. Clearly I was not late to the party. I am gratified that others feel the same as I do about poor Jackie. Thanks for all the awards. I forgot the episode, but when Jake and Daria are on the plane to his conference and thinking to themselves, Jake just wants to be there for Daria, since he knows she's lonely. That really solidified his character to me. The older I get, the more I think the Morgendorffers were good parents. Quirky, sure. But always wanting the best for their kids, decently fostering independence, etc. And watching Helen go full lawyer on the principal during the art show episode was amazing. The Morgendorffers were absolutely great parents. They had their problems and insecurities like every couple or parent or human, but ultimately they loved, accepted and supported their daughters for who they are. When Daria has that flashback of her parents fighting while she's in the refrigerator box was so heartbreaking and relatable. Jake and Helen are good people. I am in my 30s and still relate to Daria. But now I also relate more to Kevin and Brittany. There's something so appealing to being completely oblivious. Haven't watched the movies, but I assume that the movies are similar enough. Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Bro, your mom just wants to stop being a housewife and have a job, and you complain that she isn't in the house anymore to be your personal slave. When you get from school you don't even greet her, you just give her your backpack. You little shit. Do one thing in your life, you fucking donkey. Did you ever thank her for anything, Gregory? Greg is funny and charismatic towards the reader, which to kids does an excellent job of obscuring the fact that he's incredibly self-centered and devoid of empathy towards any of the other characters. This is so true. I used to love Greg when I read the books in elementary school, but a few months ago I watched one of the movies and realized how much of a jerk he is. I grew up reading the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series, and as I grew older, I realized how much of a dick Greg actually is, especially with his behavior towards Rowley. Rowley's just a lovable kid who wants to spend time with his best friend, but Greg basically uses him whenever he's convenient. Not to mention the fact that he lets Rowley take the blame for Greg terrorizing the kids when he's on the safety patrol, or that he criticizes every little thing Rowley enjoys. Rowley enjoys listening to Joshi. Greg thinks he's basically a little girl. Rowley wears stuff Greg isn't a fan of. Greg tries to change him. Rowley enjoys being close to his parents. Greg obviously thinks he's a weirdo. Not a movie, but Squidward do be making some good points. If I saw two idiots giggling in a cardboard box outside my house, I'd call the police. Edit. Who the fuck said anything about weed? Rugrats. The parents were so young, and just doing their best. I like it was a group of neighbors that were best friends too. I get really stressed out on their behalf now. Especially the one where Diddy just wants to make it home before her banana tree she bought died in the car, but no one could get their shit together. Stu, what are you doing? Making chocolate pudding. It's 4 in the morning. Why on earth are you making chocolate pudding? Because I have lost control of my life. When I first became a dad and my son turned 2, and would start getting up at 4 a.m. crying and demanding snacks, and then throwing them at me if I got them, I remembered this moment in Rugrats so clearly, and I finally understood. Like, as a kid that scene was funny. As an adult, I wanted to just cry and hug Stu. Edit. I love my son, but goddamn, if anyone ever tells you that the first few months with a baby are the hardest, punch them right in the face, cause they're a fucking liar. Toddler years are way more difficult. Edit 2. I am not saying toddlers are the hardest time. Teen years may be harder, just saying that newborn phase isn't the hardest. Edit 3. Wow, my most upvoted post ever on Reddit, and it's just me bitching about my toddler. Thanks for the awards, kind Redditers. Babies are needy potatoes with their own schedule. Toddlers are suicidal energy machines with the ability to move by themselves, so they're highly dangerous. I spent 13 years of my life growing up with a daycare in the home. Toddlers was my life for much of that time. I would take babies over toddlers any day. You forgot the part where they go from lovable and adorable to really mean really fast, and I mean they are mean to adults. How old are the parents supposed to be? I guess I just always saw them as my parents' age, but I have somewhat older parents. Mr. Mosby from Sweet Life Dudes got it rough. He's just trying to run a hotel, but these kids are hell-bent on sabotaging everything, and to make matters worse they live there, so it's daily occurrence. Edit. These comments have kick-started my nostalgia. It's time to rewatch the show. He was also made London's babysitter for so many years. Don't think that's what he imagined when he started working there. He also becomes a sort of father figure to her since her parents are pretty absent. And I just love that relationship they have going on as time goes on. He even taught her to drive, to some extent. I can still hear London saying PRNDL to this day. Damn, Mr. Mosby had a tough job. One of my favorite lines ever I always reference, especially when talking to my brother, is "Would you like M or FMMM?" Growing up, I saw Mr. Mosby as an antagonist. In my adult life, I have come to realize he was probably the only sane person on that show. Maddie is pretty sane too. The poor girl was just trying to help London with her maths, be a good friend to London, and deal with Zach's weird crush on her. And she was still nice to all of them. Give the poor girl a holiday. She did get a holiday. Remember, she went to Antarctica for a few years, and when she returned she was annoyed with the two girls who replaced her. I raised my two daughters on Nick and Disney shows, so I never saw them as a kid. Almost all of the adults are just trying to do their jobs and live their lives, but these fucking kids are a giant pain in the ass. Took me a moment to realize you meant you never saw the shows as a kid, and not that you never saw your kids. Twilight, poor Charlie Swan. Dude was trying so hard to connect with his daughter after years apart. At some point he must realized she was only sticking around in Forks because of some guy, and not because she wanted to be there with her dad. That would sting, especially considering he was on his own. She went to Forks because she wanted to give her mom freedom with her new boyfriend or something like that. Which is what put her in Forks. He did realize she was sticking around for some dude, and knew it wasn't healthy. He actually got fed up with her chaotic-like depression, and her doing nothing but bare minimum. So one day he said, "That's it, I am sending you back to your mom." I am sure Charlie would miss her, and was sad she wasn't staying for him, but he was also trying to be a good dad. Plus he was doing fine in Forks. Had friends and a good job. The poor dude suffered so much because of Bella's international vampire and werewolf shenanigans. Jacob probably did the kindest thing in that whole series, telling Charlie the truth, or at least enough that he wouldn't be in danger but could still be in his daughter's life. He is the real victim in the series. A great dad, trying his best even if he's a little awkward, didn't dump his daughter on anyone for a woman, and watches a boy put her through a deep dark depression and still gives a nice supportive speech at their wedding because he knows they love each other. He was too good to be in Bella's life. I hope them icy sparkly losers fucked off somewhere and left him at peace. When I was younger I rooted for Jim's shenanigans in the office. The older I get the more I relate to Stanley, and how he just wants to bide his time until retirement. Also Oscar, trying to be responsible, and getting fed up with everyone for being childish or dumb. Same here. I used to think I was a pamphlet, turns out, now that I am older, I am a Phyllis. Dr. Doofenshmirtz. He's just trying to do something right, and being a good dad. The episode about Vanessa's birthday hits different when you're older. The context of knowing how much he was neglected as child, and trying his best for his daughter in spite of that is pretty emotional. Ariel's dad. That line with her saying "I am not a child" or something along that. Kills me now. I agree with the dad since she is still a teen, and a young one at that. Edit. I did want to mention I don't agree with King Triton on his actions of how he handled that situation. But more just that one statement of him, and her fighting about her being a child. I admit as an adult it's infuriating when a kid actually says it, and it's frustrating cause you know you've also been there, and they just don't have a way to know better. But that one scene was probably the moment I realized my childhood was over, when I agreed she is a child. Me at 8. This is unfair. Teenagers are old enough to make good decisions about their lives. Me at 18. LOL, no we're not. Good Will Hunting. A great film to watch as a smug, witty underachiever, however genuinely smart and funny you might be, at least according to your friends. But go back to it 15 or 20 years later, perhaps after losing your wife to cancer, and you'll freak out at this scene. Source. No idea how smart or funny I really used to be, but I was definitely smug. I married the person I would been with since we were both 16. She died at 33. Fuck cancer. Sounds blasphemous to say about a movie I dearly love and pushing the definition of teen, but Animal House. If you've got a fraternity destroying a campus and members that are flunking out, the dean has to do something. And when he tells Flounder fat, drunk and stupid is no way to go through life, son, well, he actually sounds concerned, and that is good advice. Mrs. Doubtfire, but relating more with Miranda than Daniel. As a kid, I didn't understand why she lost her shit when she came home to the petting zoo. 10-year-old me thought Daniel was the best dad ever for that party. 30-year-old me thinks Miranda let him off easy after that mess. Dirty Dancing. The dad was completely justified in not wanting his teenage daughter to fraternize with a creepy adult male camp dance teacher. This movie is the reason why I asked this question. Juno. 100%. I loved that movie, then I re-watched it, and holy shit, is her relationship with adoptive dad is creepy AF. Mrs. Doubtfire. Miranda came home from work only to find her deadbeat husband hosting a party with wild animals in her home. During the divorce, he claimed he was unemployable. Then he dressed up like a woman with professional makeup or costume, etc., and watched their kids secretly and tried to kill her new boyfriend. What kind of maniac orders jambalaya when they are allergic to cayenne? Bond. James Bond. That's why I honestly like the ending. We don't get a fairy tale ending, we get one that's realistic and one in which both characters learn from their experience. As a kid with divorced parents, it was comforting to see a movie end like that. Still one of the few bits of media that ends with the parents staying separated. Incidentally, I showed this movie to my friends while living in Asia, and the ending seriously shocked them. They never imagined a movie would end like that. They all commented on it. Yes. Especially when she's talking about how she can never be fun, because he's so over-the-top fun read. Silly, irresponsible, etc. There can't be two fun parents in a house. Someone needs to make sure the family don't live in squalor, and that the kids are doing their homework, and don't have head lice, and the bills are getting paid, etc., etc. The principal and teacher in Mean Girls. They were just trying to do their damn jobs. I like that they were both competent, relatable, and nice adults, and not just reduced to some ridiculous stereotype. A lot of older teen movies do that. You just reminded me that this is one of the things I liked about Sister Act. Maggie Smith and Whoopi Goldberg are at odds and don't really like each other, but Maggie Smith isn't a villain. She just wants to protect the nuns in her care. She has a different idea of what's good for the Abbey. And by the end of the movie, both characters respect and care for the other, even though neither really changes her opinion. That reminds me a little of the ending of The Fugitive, after Harrison Ford has been proven innocent. He's in a car with Tommy Lee Jones and says, "This is from memory, remember at the waterfall when I said I didn't kill my wife and you said you didn't care?" Tommy Lee Jones smiles and says, "To tell you the truth, I still don't." I saw that as a teenager and already agreed with them. I think that was like half the point of the movie. Raise your hand if you've ever been victimized by Regina George. Literally everyone raises their hands. One of the teachers raises her hand. Principal slowly raises hand. Person who doesn't even go here raises hand. She doesn't even go here. I just have a lot of feelings. I am surprised you wouldn't agree with them from the start, TBH. Right? The movie characterized them as the good guys. Well, she's a pusher. She pushes people. I can't help it if I have a heavy flow. Just rewatched a Goofy movie as an adult. Goofy just wanted to spend time with his kid. That was the whole conflict. Just go fishing with your dad, Max. You and Roxanne are breaking up before the sequel anyway. Edit. Since this comment is getting a lot of attention, I wanted to plug one more Disney film you all need to rewatch as adults. Recess the movie. Principal Prickly legit had me in tears, you guys. I have my own life. I know that, I just wanted to be a part of it. Man, you really don't expect a Goofy movie to hit that hard. I visited my dad the next day, and surprised him with Chinese food, and Halo Master Chief Collection. Goofy movie had me wanting to be a better son. I don't want my dad to ever feel like Goofy did. I remember watching that movie when I was young and felt that Max was a bit unreasonable, though I understood him as to why he was that way. Now that I am much older and live across the country from my parents, I really want to spend as much time with them as I can whenever I have the chance. Also helps that I give them a right proper bear hug when I greet them. Even though I understood Max's frustrations in this movie, it was hard to watch how he spoke to him sometimes. He had no idea how lucky he is to have a father like Goofy, who is at least trying to bond and relate to him. However, I also understand part of Pete's side of how parenting should work, but he's not perfect either. You also need to discipline your kids. Pete focused more on making sure his son respected him by having him fear him, while Goofy was more focused on aiming for love and compassion. The Little Mermaid. I am 16, I am not a child. Listen here, you little shit. I was 7 when this came out, and it was one of the first movies I saw in the movie theater. I was like, wow. She is so old and mature. Her dad sucks. Now, I am more than twice her age, and it's definitely listen here, you little shit. Came here to say this. But I love him, daddy. No. You're 16. You're not completely changing yourself for a boy you just met. She didn't even meet him. She saw him dancing from afar and decided, yes, that's the one. Disney romantic relationships are almost always complete bullshit, and would never work IRL. I will say, Aurora and Philip made the most sense. Betrothed, so they were stuck anyways. Met by happenstance in the forest, but was pretty tame, and she invites him to meet her godmothers. And it's only by literal luck that both of them turned out hot, and were attracted to each other based on the way their dads look and acted. Then Philip slays a MF dragon witch to save everybody. Philip in this movie is the only Disney prince I am aware of with a personality, probably because they shortchanged adult Aurora on one. Charming in the third Cinderella movie wasn't that bad. Edit. This blew up. Yay. Edit. Thanks Wendigo. It isn't Eric. I dunno, Flynn Rider had a lot of personality. Then again, he wasn't a prince, at first. Edit spelling. Don't you mean Eugene Fitzherbert? Better yet, but daddy, I love him. Wait, you do? Well, why didn't you say so, Ariel? That's fantastic. Tell me all about him. What are his hobbies? What are his political views? Is he religious? What are his parents like? Does he have any siblings? Is he a good swimmer? What kind of food does he like? Is he a go out and party kind of guy, or is he more of a homebody? Does he want kids? How is he with kids? What would his parenting style be? How many kids does he want? Does he snore? Is he an early bird or a night owl? What kind of music does he like? Does he have a degree? What kind of career does he want to pursue? Is he neat and tidy or more disorganized? When did you two first meet? What was your first date like? What is your favorite thing to do together? When do I get to meet him? Yeah, that's what I thought, Ariel. You don't love this man, you know literally nothing about this man. Do you even know if he's single? Or even if he's straight? For all you know, he's gayer than a $3 bill, and happily married. You're not in love, you're just horny, and think he's cute. For Christ's sakes, get your head out of your whatever we have instead of assholes. Edit. First, thank you so much to everyone for the awards. Second, for those asking about the gayer than a $3 bill part, the original phrase was as queer as a $3 bill, meaning something was odd, unusual, off, weird, or fake, because that's what queer originally meant. Then, people started using queer to mean homosexual, and over time the phrase got morphed into as gay as a $3 bill, or gayer than a $3 bill, but still meaning something was odd or strange, not literally homosexual. Then, the phrase morphed further, with people using it to refer to other people's sexuality, saying that a person who they thought was homosexual was gayer than a $3 bill. I imagine it was sometimes used in a pejorative way, but it's not something that inherently is a pejorative itself. You can use it to say something is gay without it implying that being gay is a bad thing. Cloacas. I am Knuckles the Echidna, but you can call me Knuckles. I have a single opening, called a cloaca. Eggman is after the Master Emerald. I excrete both feces and urine out of my cloaca, which is my single opening. I broke the Master Emerald into pieces to stop Eggman from taking it. Cloacas are more common than you think. All amphibians, reptiles, and birds have them. People ask where I keep the shards of the Master Emerald. I keep them in my cloaca. What a fucking bizarre day to have eyes. He's the prince of a coastal kingdom. They eat fish. They eat Ariel's friends. This is a political nightmare. What do the merfolk eat? Unless they are all vegetarian, I got bad news for those fish. Edit. I did some research. They are vegetarian. In the movie, Triton calls humans fish eaters as an insult, strongly implying that merfolk don't eat fish. Apparently in the cartoon series, and some books, you see Ariel eating seaweed and other plants. 10 things I hate about you. When the dad says you're 18, you don't know what you want. And you won't know what you want till you're 45, and even if you get it, you'll be too old to use it. Those damn Dawson's River kids, sleeping in each other's beds and whatnot. I am down, I got the 411, and you are not going out and getting jiggy with some boy. I don't care how dope his ride is. Edit. My other favorite is It's Just a Party Daddy. And hell is just a sauna. At the start you think he's over the top and nuts. But then you learn his wife left him with 2 daughters, who are now going through high school, working a stressful job to care for them, and worried about them constantly. What if they leave me too? What if they get knocked up by a boy and I never see them again? Poor dude is stressed. He does ease up a bit at the end. It's hard for him to let his daughters make their own decisions, because he wants to keep them safe. And yes, they are young and most 18-year-olds don't know what they want, lol. And on top of that, he's a ginno. He sees 10 girls a week whose dude nut and run, leaving them devastated and alone. He never has time at home, and when he does catch some family time, he's watching his daughters go through mood swings, puberty, and boy craziness like their job in life is to end up on his examination table. And the second he tries to say anything, they roll their eyes and the pager goes, and he has to leave them all alone, to work for days on end wondering what they are getting up to. No wonder he started using more non-conventional, quick-hitting methods like the fake belly. It gets funnier, sadder, and more relatable with every passing year. Twilight New Moon. As a 12-year-old, Edward's abandonment of Bella was regrettable but understandable. As an adult, I don't understand why anyone involved thought it was a good idea, and I am angry that Carlisle and Esme did nothing to stop their perpetually frozen at 17 years old son from being so stupid. Edward will forever have the mind of a 17-year-old. He will forever be stuck in that not quite grown-up state of mind. He should never have been allowed to make that decision. Also, as Charlie, I'd likely be having a long, drawn-out chat with my teenage daughter who told me she's going to immediately marry this shady dude who abandoned her. That's a hill I'd be willing to die on, lol. For real. He left you once, baby, why would you trust him not to do it again? Not specifically a teen movie, but I watched it as a teen, so get off my lawn. Top Gun. Maverick is the dick who can't follow rules and gets his best friend killed, yet Iceman is the villain for not getting up to hijinks and having an alive co-pilot. I just watched it again not too long ago and thought the same thing. Yeah, Iceman has an enormous ego, but they are top-tier aviators. They all have big egos. At least Iceman was a badass while also having general considerations for safety. I'd fly with Iceman any day. My Phil was a fighter pilot, and he absolutely hates this movie. He gets especially angy whenever Maverick takes his oxygen mask off at altitude in an unpressurized cockpit because he's out of breath. He says Iceman was absolutely right about Maverick, and in the real world pilots would refuse to fly with him. I think leaving the oxygen mask off during most of the flying scenes was really just a filmmaking liberty to make it easier for viewers to follow and connect with the dialogue. If all of the flying scenes were done with masks on and visors down throughout, it would be kind of hard for viewers to connect with muffled words coming out of a rotating cast of faceless, robot-like heads where you can't see mouths moving or pick up on body language. They did the same for Black Hawk Down, where all the characters had their last names scrawled onto their helmets. And why other movies generally have their heroes remove, or not wear a helmet in situations where one was definitely needed. It's hard to emote when you can't see their face, or the case of BHD, don't know their names because uniformity. You're out of control, Maverick. I am out of control. Someone discharge this guy. This part was not included in the movies, but in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix there is this one particular dialogue by Hogwarts' most loathed principal Phineas Nigellus Black which resonates with me till date. Young people are so infernally convinced that they are absolutely right about everything. Has it not occurred to you, my poor puffed-up popinjay, that there might be an excellent reason why the headmaster of Hogwarts is not confiding every tiny detail of his plans to you? Have you never paused, while feeling hard done by, to note that following Dumbledore's orders has never yet led you into harm? No. No, like all young people, you are quite sure that you alone feel and think, you alone recognize danger, you alone are the only one clever enough to realize what the Dark Lord may be planning. Phineas Nigellus. Later, Harry insists to Dumbledore that Snape is involved in something nefarious with Malfoy. When Dumbledore is unconcerned, Harry says, incredulously, "Professor, did you understand?" Dumbledore replies, "Yes, Harry, blessed as I am with extraordinary brain power, I understood everything you told me. I think you might even consider the possibility that I understood more than you did." To be fair, Dumbledore himself admits that if he wasn't so apathetic about answering people's concerns and confided his reasoning, maybe things would have turned out better. I think this is absolutely brilliant. I haven't read the book for a while, but it is so true. I think it also sets us up for accepting that not everything is as black and white as it has previously been in the books so far. Phineas Nigellus is disliked, much in the same way as Snape, but he is also the voice of reason. Rewatching The Simpsons and realized I no longer relate to Bart. I am a Homer now. I am relating with Mo Zislik more and more every year. I am scared. Good, 'cause I got a hot date tonight. Buzz. A date. Buzz. Dinner with friends. Buzz. Dinner alone. Buzz. Watching TV alone. Buzz. All right. I am going to sit at home and ogle the ladies in the Victoria's Secret catalog. Buzz. Sears catalog. Ding. Now would you unhook this already, please? I don't deserve this kind of shabby treatment. Buzz. That's probably my favorite Simpsons moment of all time. Hey, you're better than dirt. Well, most kinds of dirt, not the fancy store-bought dirt. That stuff is packed with nutrients. I had a health teacher in high school use The Simpsons to teach us how families react to an alcoholic. Basically, Marge enables, Bart acts out, and Lisa buries her pain. Now I see those roles every time I meet the families of addicts. Oh. Oh no. Yeah, getting a little uncomfortable in here. I don't like this perspective. Harry Potter. I used to think of Hermione as my role model. Now that I am working as a school counselor, my role model is McGonagall. Edit. Wow, didn't expect this kind of reaction. And I got awards. I feel like Neville getting 10 points and winning the House Cup. Thank you so much. Even as a teen, McGonagall was the best. He's passed every test set by a competent teacher. What is that I smell? A roast. She also took 5 for stunning spells to the chest like a champ. The thing is, the franchise made it seem that Dumbledore was the role model from the start, when really, if one has read the books and watched the movies, you could see how much influence McGonagall had when it comes to Harry's choices in life. And as someone who does career counseling, I love that it was because of McGonagall's support that Harry pursued a career as an Auror. I read all but the last book as a teenager, but recently decided to watch the full movie series to see how it ends since I heard the last 2 movies mirrored the books fairly well. That scene where the Death Eaters are coming and McGonagall tells the students to go set a building on fire is so great. The audience has grown to realize that she is an incredible leader, mentor and a powerful witch, but the students still see her as this strict disciplinarian. In disbelief, they ask her for confirmation that she is requesting they actually set a building on fire, and she confirms. On the one hand, it serves as a reminder that McGonagall is a badass who makes big plays when it counts. On the other hand, it tells the students and the audience that shit is very real, and it's time for them to be adults in a fight for their lives. Probably my favorite scene in the last movie, even if it seems to just be comic relief for most who watch it. Lilo and Stitch. My opinion of Nanny changed entirely. I think it helps when you realize that she's literally a teenager 18 trying to prevent CPS taking away the only family she has left while working and trying to be a mother to a little sister who is a social outcast. Shit's rough. Kind of interesting for a Disney movie to present a very real and unpleasant reality like that one. I remember as a kid the threat of being taken away by CPS was very real and very potent, and the surrealism of seeing it reflected back in an age-appropriate children's fantasy movie. ETA. I am well aware there are a lot of dead moms or parents in Disney movies, thanks. The point was that CPS or social services coming to take you away was not something I had ever seen in a children's movie, though it was very much a real fear for myself and the reality of many kids I knew growing up. It was the first time I saw that reflected in children's media. This is honestly one of the things that makes Disney movies stick with us in my opinion. From the depiction of poverty and government corruption in Robin Hood, to the pressure to be part of the group you are born into, even when it means hunting your own friend in The Fox and the Hound. I am sure the reference to something that dramatically affected your life gave the movie a special place for you. Disney really does a good job making movies resonate with their audience, whatever your opinion on the company, that shit is impressive. Disney really does a good job making movies resonate with their audience, whatever your opinion on the company, that shit is impressive. There's incredible creative people who works for Disney, and then you have Disney itself. She worked so hard for her, and even gave up her dreams to take care of her. Where is she on the Disney princess list, huh? For me, the real tragedy with Nanny isn't that she has to give up her dreams, it's the fact that she lost her parents, too, and she doesn't even get to take a minute to mourn them or process that because she has to jump straight into the caretaker role without ever having a minute to take care of herself. A sad reality for many young adults with little siblings who lose their parents. Watched Lilo and Stitch recently and realized this as well. Older sister has to become a mom to her 7-year-old sibling. She's just doing her best to hold the family together. Her room had a whole bunch of surf trophies. She gave up going pro for Lilo. It doesn't even have to be giving up going pro, she obviously has or had a deep passion, and now has absolutely no time at all for it. Not only that, but everything she put aside her passion for was to make sure she doesn't lose Lilo. And the first time, in who knows how long, she reignites the passion and surfs. Lilo almost drowns. This is making me want to watch Lilo and Stitch again. Saw Lilo and Stitch 2 I think recently, and Lilo yells at her saying essentially your best isn't good enough in relation to taking care of them, and I am like goddamn kid, she's sacrificing everything for you, she can only do so much. Edit. Man, this got popular, guess they can really hit you in the feels. My heart was just breaking for Nanny in all the Lilo and Stitch things. She's basically the fault line of the family, will pressure building from all sides. Like, I don't give a shit about Lilo's performance to her class, Nanny is trying to keep you fed, housed and happy while a freaking alien murder machine is your pet, 2 other crazy aliens are causing a mess, her kind of boyfriend or best friend is drifting since she has no time, and she has to work a bunch of shitty jobs where people bitch at her, and constant threat of CPS taking Lilo, though as mentioned she should actually ask for that help. If she lets any of it slip you get a earthquake tearing it all down. Edit 2. To clarify, I am not hating on Lilo, she's a young child, but my internal reaction was as described. Which of course is not Nanny's reaction, because she still manages to not have an outburst after being reminded of all the pain and sacrifice to yet still not be enough. Nanny had a surfing trophy in her bedroom, and it makes you realize how much she had to give up to take care of Lilo the best of her ability. And once you realize this, the CPS guy threatening to take Lilo is honestly really sad. Lilo just doesn't realize that Nanny is doing everything she can to be able to keep Lilo with her, which I think is something she partially realizes by the end of the movie. Honestly, he wasn't threatening her. One of the things they did really well was having the CPS social worker be someone who deeply cares about child welfare, and who wants things to work out. He just can't leave Lilo in an environment that is objectively unsafe, with a guardian who, regardless of how hard she's trying, is unfit to handle Lilo's needs. Well, I don't think we were ever supposed to hate Nanny. I don't think we were even supposed to dislike her. I never disliked her, it's more that my opinion of who was being unfair in the relationship changed. Not a movie, but Malcolm in the Middle. I used to think Lois was a horrible mother who overreacted about everything. Now that I am older, I can see she is just an overworked working-class mother with 5 terribly behaved boys. I used to think I wanted to be like Frances, but grew into more of a Hal, and I am okay with that. Edit. I know at the end Frances turned into Hal anyway. I was talking about early Frances, the cool rebellious teenager. Lois and Malcolm working together at the Lucky Aid was the most holy shit episode in TV history. Malcolm thought it would be hell, and he'd have his mother breathing down his neck and bossing him around for everything he did. Turns out she was his co-worker, or not his manager, and since it wasn't her job, or she wasn't getting paid to breathe down his neck, her attitude was fuck it. Craig is the manager. Malcolm can learn what it's like to be ordered around by an actual or real-world retail manager. And then Malcolm basically turns into Lois, trying to make things more efficient and failing miserably, while Lois's attitude is it's just a run-out-the-clock job. They don't pay us to make things more efficient, they pay us to follow orders, and it's way easier being a drone than the person in charge. It ends when the shift is over. Who cares? So what part of box flattening area don't you understand? It's only when rewatching it as an adult that I see that the real heart of the show is the relationship between Hal and Lois. He just adores her and it's so sweet. It might actually be too bleak for her if that relationship was also really difficult and he was awful. When I think about Hal and Lois, I think about the episode where Lois confesses that if she doesn't take a secret shit before bed she is in for a night of stomach cramping and misery. And then he tells her that she always rips humongous farts in her sleep every night, and he doesn't care, and loves her no matter what. That's true love right there. Lois. Crying, I am just afraid you love me more than I love you. Hal. Oh Lois. Of course I do, but if you loved me that much we would never get anything done. I love their relationship. When Hal's at a poker game, I think, and the guys are discussing how often they have sex with their wives. And the guys are giving a number and Hal's response is a sad 2, and then he finds out the guys are talking per week, and he's talking per day. I love that they have that passion. Wow. You are still with us. Thanks for being such a nice person. As long as you are here, why not like this video and subscribe to our channel? Also you can press the bell icon, so you won't miss any future uploads.